Brilliance Audio presents The Angry Hills by Leon Uris, performed by Will Dameron. Morrison was completely unaware of the tall, thin, blond man wearing a New Zealand uniform who picked up his trail the instant he left the attorney's mansion. Nor was he aware of the half-dozen pairs of eyes focused upon the house from points of observation nearby. Mike walked through the plush Kolonaki sector toward Concord Square across town, drawing his topcoat about his neck against the mist. Concord Square was filled with the usual mid-afternoon crowd, either scurrying to and from the subway or settled in the many coffee houses to argue the day away. The flower stalls were a blaze of color that helped offset the drizzly overcast. He stopped to find his bearings and immediately fell prey to one of those sidewalk shoeshine hustlers who have the knack of spotting an American a mile away. The tall blond man in New Zealand uniform took up his vigil from a sidewalk table at one of the coffee houses. The earlier undercurrent of tension was more perceptible, Morrison thought. Although the chatter was foreign, he could still deduce from snatches of conversation around him that the British were going to withdraw from Athens. People walked as if in a stupor, and their faces betrayed a mixture of fear and confusion and disbelief. A flood of uneasiness hit Mike. He counted the long hours ahead till dawn when he would be winging toward London. The shoeshine boy applied the final touches with a pair of oversized brushes and stepped back to admire his work. American shoes always shined so well. He received a handsome tip. For several moments, Mike stood and looked in all directions, contemplating the best way to kill the afternoon. The National Museum was closed, and its treasures removed. He looked down Athena Street to its end and saw the rise of the Acropolis. No, he did not want to go there again. Rather silly, not wanting to sightsee, but his few side trips had left him depressed, for Ellie was not there. She would never see them. For a moment he considered the idea of the American bar, but visualized an afternoon's dull conversation with a visiting fireman. He was hungry, but ruled out trying another strange restaurant. Yesterday he had found a place in Kavuri, 20 miles from Athens, overlooking a picturesque bay, but he could still taste the olive oil. He began to wander, hands in pockets, along Eolus Street, where the conglomeration of food in the sidewalk stalls sent up a sickening odor. The shoppers and stall-keepers haggled, but the performance was half-hearted today. Their thoughts were on tomorrow. He window-shopped, and remembered the 1,000 hours he window-shopped with Ellie when they could afford no other pastime. He purchased 2 pairs of peasant slippers with bright red pompons on the toes for Jay and Lynn, and strolled on. The next intersection brought an onrush of British troops from the camp at Kokinya. Then Morrison's eye caught a sign he could read in any language. The saloon was half empty and the stock at rock bottom, a choice of 2 types of crossi. He stood at the far end of the bar, and after the first sip was thankful his long tenure as an unpublished writer hadn't given him the opportunity to cultivate a taste for fine liquors. The tall blond man in the New Zealand uniform entered and sat near the door. A half-bottle later, much of the tension had eased inside Mike. As the bar filled with soldiers, he made an honorable retreat to a table with his bottle. He observed and he drank.